Strangely enough, yes, and the floor sloped very had this orange shag.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember that time that the ceiling fan globe fell when we were in worship? Or?
And just barely missed Julie Kraut's head.
Yep, exactly.
That kind of brought the house down for a minute. Well, but you know what amazes me the most about this?
What's that?
I got married in that building.
Wow. You know, I remember some other friends of mine, Chris and Macroller, you remember that?
Yes.
They got married in that building. In Chris's pictures, it looked like she had a special hat. It was the dove.
Oh, that's great. I forgot about those special pictures.
Oh, yeah. What about these girls here on the cake? What?
Well, see, this is part of my problem. These are supposed to be Lisa and Kara, and I tried really hard to dye this one's hair red. But it's kind of a nasty little brown color, so I really can't. It's hard to find a red-headed doll. But they were, when Mark and Ann first started coming to the church, those little girls were so cute. Of course, they still are, but they were so little. I think Kara may have been only about 18 months old, maybe, you know, somewhere in that range. And she was so cute. And Lisa had braces on her leg, and she'd have to trek from down here in the barracks all the way up to the second floor for children's church, and she, with those braces, would just run up there with a big smile on her face the whole time.
Wow, I remember. Well, Ursula, what in the world do we have a badge on here for?
Well, we have to have a badge because Mark was a cop before he was a pastor.
That's right.
God used this to prepare him for the ministry.
No doubt, no doubt. And this? Tell me about that.
Let me think hard. Easter cantatas. We did all those Easter cantatas, and one time even Mark was Judas. That was fun.
Okay. How about this?
Pennies. Mark's always taught us that God's our provider. That's what the word says. God provides whatever we have need of. And when the time came when they thought this building wasn't quite what we needed, as it was falling down around us, we began to pray for a new building, and God provided. And this building came up for sale, and the board wanted to put in a bid on it, and all they had in the bank was, now quote me if I'm wrong, $2,100. And so they put that bid out, and we got this building for $2,100. It was so amazing. So then we had to tell this building goodbye. And it did get torn down. It's a parking lot now.
What in the world is this, Ursula?
Well, before Mark was even pastor, we had a food booth for Arkalala.
Yes.
We all got together and made tons and tons of sloppy joes, and well, about midweek that week, Pastor Robbie, who wasn't a pastor then, got this little virus and threw up behind the rec center a whole bunch of times. And that little virus kind of went through the whole body. Either that or the donated meat. Anyway, on the day of Arkalala, when we're all carrying food up, Mark got sick. Oh my gosh, he was sick. I'll never forget that little Mark laying out on that couch, just white as a sheet and just sick as a dog. And before they got home that day, Ann started throwing up too, and they lived in Winfield at the time, so the ride home was pretty interesting. Karen ended up having to go take care of the girls that day.
Oh, cool. I bet I probably have some idea what this is for, but tell us about that, Ursula.
This bucket? Well, through the years, Mark and Ann have had a couple of water problems. When we first met them, they had this blue car, and when it rained, the car door would fill up with water. And so for days after the rain, when you go around a corner, it sounded like you were in a boat. But they've had other water problems too. They've had a couple of leaky pipes. They've had a couple of leaky roofs. Well, the old church had a leaky roof. The new church had a leaky roof. I think most of the houses they've lived in have had leaky roofs. One time we were at their house and there was a storm and the wind blew both front doors wide open and rain even came splashing in.
Yeah, that's probably appropriate. How about this? What in the world did you mean with this one?
Well, there was this car that Mark and Ann had that some people might refer to as a lemon. Do you remember it?
I think I remember that one. Was it a little maroon Renault?
That's the one.
Yeah.
It was a special little car, and something happened to the engine, I think.
Yeah, I think like the fan quit running and the thing just totally overheated and burned the whole engine up.
Yeah, it was kind of sad. But the funniest part of that car, and I think it was this car, was when Mark and Ann were driving through a drive-through. And Mark reached in his pocket to get some change out, broke and just I don't know who was more surprised, Mark or the person working at the drive-through window.
Tapes, Ursula?
Yes, these are Mark's. These happen to be Mark's studies in Romans, but this is a sure cure for insomnia. If you have kids that can't sleep at night, just put one of these on, they'll be out in no time. And you never can tell, they might grow up to be a pastor.